Hello, American Republic, nations, species, republic, gather round. The means are found, so clear, they just appear, one way alone. When I was in grammar school, 6 grades, then there's 2 grades middle school, then there's 4 grades for high school. They put a summer school class with actors involved with database crimes, a database crime method, which is with sequence shifts. There and mayors. You see, you see the identity of correlation in relationship to the value of justice, in relationship to means provided for the pathology of infrastructure originally instilled, forced with the fact-cheating nature, slavery, and torture of our founders. They're stolen identities to great extents. They're forced not to say anything about sequence shifts. All pseudo-positive, there's an extent they had free speech. Not by accident. There was already entrenched a breaching organized crime method that juxtaposed a whole bunch of people to roles, valuing value, nature, position, treatment, fact treatment, nature, quality, treatments that you can't defend and do anything but be the value of as volume, as negative value, nature, progression, action, natures. So we have Washington, D.C. We have a Gold, a former Mayor Gold, in an O'Brien family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved crimes with other nations. They don't understand the extent of it. They just understand their insidious little crimes, wrongdoing, and wrong as themselves as wrongdoers, and as worse in some cases. I've never had a conversation. I mean, in other words, they have other people make confessions for them too. And then they do things, speaking nonsense and being angry out of context to make sequence shifts. For example, with their roles through time, with child offenders, with the same grammar school, has a principal arrested for upskirt pictures for the news, real or made up. The news is recorded with him, involved with judges that put him away, various natures of courts, and their cliques involved criminally with that. So, trying to turn the volume, some different setting. So this is modern nation, for example, with Saudi Arabia and treatments of Jamal Khashoggi. This is where and how they on-off CCSU was involved with a whole bunch of other nations. WFSB, this is recorded people involved intercampuses of each age through time, on and off campuses, from off the ground of education, then on and off campuses in layers, database crime acts roles, and natures, live progression, cover up natures, identity theft, collect natures that are sequence shifts. And that's what we have. The sequence shifts are tied to that. So we have this where you don't even know the people. You don't know where they're putting it. They're recorded even with WFSB overtly. They're with overt crimes with girls. They put the little girl's name, pretend she was crying on TV because in other words, they're lying about your behavior on Facebook because these courts with crime acts already with their databases. They have fake things, kids attached to fake locations in their databases. New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Superior Courts, the state people on off the state judicial branch offices, whole bunch of people associated with WFSB, with Fox CT, criminally involved with their locations, with people with Mendez police, with a Fianza family, with the Kerr family, with Domain brothers, with Joe DeMoros, with a Casper family, with a Charlie Bowes and families tied to him involved with identity thefts, fake conversations with me as police forms, involved criminally with various natures of courts, with these and one-way reports. As the foreign and domestic medical families are associated, especially with psychology, with badges. Pakistani families, people involved criminally with the mobile gas stations of the South Street Highway through time. Sequence shifts. This was confessed and demonstrated to me since before I went to work there. I swear to God, I never stole $1 from propane. See, that was also Eric Jensen has friends that like with with a house in my area associated with a whole bunch of people that I never saw them with at all, and his cousins, and some that I barely know, like Eric Jensen. They put him in a class with me though. See, these are people involved with database crimes that are each age connected, and they're maintaining correlation nature value and obfuscated. They're maintaining criminally foreign influence states and areas and campuses. All victim predators. Forgiveness was to have this conversation about the organized crime method that American history is about, and especially with this town. There are all kinds of medical corruption with families on Church Street, recorded and confessed, tied to crime, tied to connected crime acts and criminal uses of those crime acts with the people at CCSU and on off Trinity College, with our intelligence community, recorded and confessed, criminally foreign influence and recorded physically, physical delusions juxtaposed, sequence shifting styles, and that's self-value. That's recorded too. So we have online meetings, social media, social platforms. We have markets positions originally and still used to force and sustain, recorded with worse than negotiated with terrorism. We have criminal uses of legalized body dumping spots and of criminal body dumping spots with the same interbranch cliques facilitated this criminally on and off the state judicial branch officers, on and off their roles with cases, evidence reception leading up to cases, sequence shifts. So I don't even know what they put in the database, but this girl pretended conversations with me that never were. In other words, and she has sequence shift roles with these O'Briens associated with a whole bunch of people associated with Sandy Hook, Newtown. They have a prison up there. These are people associated with crimes on and off the state prison offices, on and off the state judicial branches offices, and with all natures of forensics cliques and federal criminals that are co-defendants of former director of the FBI and a tied part of a case /S involved with these crimes against me, with interbranch police and military police, and how they exploit all positions, telling them to forsake the perfect world. That was an outcome that was anticipated since before our founders were born, for a method to keep them standing criminal insidious nature. It's not free speech. Think if Barack Obama did have free speech, he wouldn't have had to blame, as he did, the real as a victim, as everyone. Not the great man, great in me a lot of ways. But here, in this way, I'm smarter than everyone with this. That's why, in other words, they can't. They had to steal my identity with the fake news. Whole bunch of fake news crime acts. Know how they attached me to a fake relationship to a doctor and to mental diagnosis when I was a kid. That's because they need to cover up for identity thefts, federal crimes with evidence receptions, with others they use that never had a conversation with me in middle school and then in high school, tied to the people who've used the database criminally in grammar school. Whole bunch of people tied to a Joshua Julian, and with this with a mega education and a Sammy Vega, involved with various natures of courts, police forms, stuff like that, and with Confederate flag themed people criminally involved with these courts in the prisons tied to them, and undercover foreign and domestic juxtaposed. Especially now they have medical corruption with psychology, where they have them thinking for the judges, and they have those judges also criminally foreign influence, crime uses of them, criminal uses of, they're recorded and confessed with all kinds of rules crimes, all kinds of statutes crimes, and tied to their sequence shifts, for example. And see, we have their physical delusions that are a problem. And we have their climax roles with the transition from Alca to Rico and their criminality with evidences since founding, since the transition from the FBI wearing FBI in the back of their coat to their no coat on there. See, we have areas, sustained reactions where they have sustained shared policing, in other words, right to lie. They're standing criminal and seditious natures that they knew those identities of value. For example, the ancients had more sophistication in relationship to they understood that and how each cell of a part of the body or of an organ, like a heart, its complete identity is simultaneously dependent on and has the value of the other cells simultaneously. It's dependent upon that nature that is simultaneously the value of each of them. Now all are simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature relationship to. Within as their own the value of their own physical, metaphysical identity of value, sequence nature. That's another nature, sequence nature, identity nature. So this is about the Trinity is a scientific value. Inflation is a scientific value with the Trinity. Now this is balloon theory. But this is regarding the value nature system that these market positions and those other natures of value of inflation are recorded negative value nature. Everything there's a difference between temporary positive value nature and lasting positive value nature while here. For example, as what it takes to describe the difference between positive that is to a criminal insidiousness nature, mass wrongdoing natures, justifying that. See, I have the one thing that is common when people do crazy things. Whenever they do things, they're expressing frustration. And see, that frustration is never that voice. That's the part of it that's the worst, because what's worse than that is what's exploiting that. What's worse than that is how what's exploiting that is the only formal definitions people we have directed to pretend their integrity as a theater. Now that theater is sustained on each age of fact-cheaping nature. That's where they get it. That's where, in other words, that's where they play them. From off the ground of education already sustained, on off the campus's layers, they need it now. They need to pretend they're positive. They're in other words, all formal fact-cheaping nature, they're frustrated. They're just like these gangs and these killers. But now they're using gavels and guns and with badges and pens, tricks, switching names, forging names, all kinds of drug crime roles, formal and informal. See, they're having a meeting to ask people about what they think about drugs today, but the people involved with that are already needing to hide. They're already recorded all natures of drug crime roles missed because they're not following mandated law. In fact, they're using law that is recorded sick to torture people. Pretend other by making the law lenient. You have to make it more lenient because it's psycho. And because the branches are on record with sustained abuses of each age of fact-cheaping nature, preventing and sustained value exploitations of that and roles with that. That's how they keep all our stewards criminally foreign influence. Fox Connecticut News, all the people associated with the locations next to it. They pretend other by saying, "Oh, it's our badges." Oh, prove it. Where's the evidences? You know. They're recorded the evidence. They stole my identity with Fox Connecticut News. They're preventing people to ground counters with a quality fact-sheeping nature where they're offensively pretending passions and emotions, sequence shifting, needing to hide their sequence shifts and database crime acts roles of themselves or others and their family members. Now, those are fact-sheeping nature organized crime acts. Federal crimes like pretend now they're pretending they're officers of agencies and their family members. Federal crimes. Now, now if that's true, they're federal crimes other way at the same time anyway. Fake conversation, fake knowledge of me, fake. I don't even know the people, like a Kelly Kazmarek, recorded, confessed, involved with people involved with houses at corners and stuff associated with child offender campuses, proven and further recorded and confessed and demonstrated. We recorded and confessed and demonstrated originally and still don't have one nature of court with the integrity because of how they are maintained already criminally foreign influence. This is how they have Washington, D.C. tied to these. There's a Kerr family with a I don't know what kind of church it is now, but it was a born again Christian church. And there's the Demora family. I don't know the rest of the girl that father she was in my grade. She was on my bus, I think, 1 year or something. And her father ran it, but I never had a conversation with her. And so I had extended relatives associated with this place. See, these are people associated with other churches and on off those locations too. Crimes with military police that are Confederate flagged. And they're involved with identity thefts, with evidence crimes with various natures of courts, drug clicks, foreign and domestic police forms with predicate acts, also trade center attack, criminal uses of body dumping spots for other natures of crimes, the businesses and the houses associated with those places. Also, as the people associated with fake crimes, fake news with WFSB, coaching, lie progressions, fake care, and evil, sick, fake justice, forced lie progressions through the kids. They have a little girl. They put her name. I don't even, I should repeat it. I don't want to be as insidious as them. See, WFSB is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they have some kind of relationship to a whole bunch of people associated with West Farms Mall and with foreign domestic police forms, military forms, foreign and domestic, crimes with overt criminal enterprises, crimes with interbranch police forms, military police forms, leading up to in cases. And further, this is tied to a proven sequence shifts that had been affected from inside the Ninth Circuit in the my Manhattan context, having shown the panel of judges papers that were post-dated from inside the court. And then so they ruled it was late. That was proven, and that led up to a Connecticut District Court case with the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Now, media has recorded, confessed, and demonstrated a whole bunch of federal crimes with police forms associated with him, and with the crimes with a pattern of criminality with foreign and domestic agencies tied to justifications of that. For example, because of how it parallels, they have agreements with money relationships and private agreements and quality of fact-sheeping nature agreements that are peaceful, but only in relationship to war. But that is also as agents of fact-sheeping nature brought as pseudo-sophistication to specifically to maintain that worse than obfuscated, exploitations of how that is fundamental to the war. That is fundamental to there being no solutions that are allowed here or there. The free speech that is immediately with a means accessible with sequence true, inherent, active, and progressive nature followed course and means. This is what one way redeems. This is what everyone really agrees about. See, but we have people pretending they have opinions offensively, criminally. We don't have that demonstrated because we don't have mandated law followed. So the Khashoggi treatments with CCSU are recorded and confessed with our knowledge, our quote intelligence community, our intermilitary community. Crime acts roles real or made up with the person associated with the person of the serial killer, even if he really isn't a real serial killer. A whole bunch of people that are crime acts rules with that spot. The businesses next to it, with foreign and domestic military, police forms leading up to and in cases, and interstates with the CCSU families evolve with crimes with other ages of campuses through time, and then interstates in the Trade Center attack context. That was facilitated even to the ones that weren't there. A Scalora family recorded and confessed with that crimes with various nature of police retired and standing in Wethersfield Police Department, crimes of other nature of police form like FBI, CIA families, with identity thefts, fake conversations with me, database crime rolls, sequence shift crime rolls, identity theft crime rolls. They recorded and confessed to have modern pastry and have mazzucato pastry involved with the Wethersfield police chief with identity thefts and with a Fred Grisey, with police forms like with Joey Quest. They use that name, a whole bunch of people associated with John Maiano, people criminally involved with the policing of schools like UConn and with the drugs and stuff like that. So now these are people crime acts rolls all the way around Church Street in Old Wethersfield. People sought me out to demonstrate, confess, and record this. They were that's how everyone's facilitated too. And then at the house on the corner, the people crimes with CCSU, each of the campuses I went to, they were all facilitated to that connected. Then that's right around where the Web House is, Web House slash and Web, and then they changed it Web slash Stevens House now. In other words, this is where George Washington had to come right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, had to leave slavery overt with color, entrenched in Connecticut, in New York. No, but he had to meet here in Wethersfield, Connecticut, right before slash Hartford, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. So he could only semi-counter extort them. Now this was nations. This was a colony that was the name of England, but this is an identity racket that knew it was a whole bunch of nations knaved together, forced to say nothing about that. Whole bunch of undercover positions, lying to themselves and others. In other words, these are integrities of the law of positive fact, of science fact nature as positive as identity that can't defend that and us and stand. One person with free speech with sequence true and simultaneously correlation nature's inherent active and progressive means. Beyond that too, one way redeems. Call through your teams in folds. Value rules, lethal IDs. Call through your souls. Lethal IDs is forced space nature transfer. This is the position of youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall and of the ancient gaming system. Beard means a beard. So we have like Washington, they have lawyers going there and stuff like that. Before they do that, they were victims. See, we have to understand how everyone's victim. But see, before we could do that, you start talking about one branch is victim. They were already acting criminally, individually, grouped, and together. So we have to be able to counter various natures of courts. Recorded, demonstrated, confessed, long, still, criminally foreign influence acting. How motivated to it, recorded too. Tied to this, their roles of the mayors, retired and standing. Their roles: interbranch media communications, intercampuses, retired and standing, criminally foreign influence, criminally acting with fact treatments, with live progressions, criminal uses of the identities of each location of the ground, especially campuses, maintain misprision. A relationship to that, what I'm talking about. That's why we are to discern this. The trinity of selves. The five semi-natures that are inseparable from, not only inseparable from themselves, but as what is for unceasing self-generation. From smaller than the smallest thing, back seeing. Well, as what is bigger than all things at once, even just the semi-nature of itself. This identity of value progression generated matter bonded. As a subverted semi-nature of itself, that bonding it, its complete identity. Its complete identity of relationship to itself. That's strength onto and as the value of all planets at once. It is its simultaneously distinct and non-distinct relationship to itself. The period we will refer to as the point of real possession. This is where and how this identity of value progression, that Allah's name and the Trinity were revealed to teach about. See, we have sciences maintain human fact-treatment nature, self-valued as standing criminal insidiousness natures of treatments of positive, and so of treatments of logic, and so valuing, pseudo-ratiocination, pretended not realized on a mass scale, pretended the having been caused by other things, others themselves, valuing that, not by accident. So they have the Khashoggi treatments recorded with who's briefing the news. They have the intelligence community involved with the communications departments, with all the departments at the campuses as victim predators, from off the ground of education, from on and off campuses in layers. So we need mandated law follow to counter this. They're forging names, switching names, and sequence shifting styles. Then the styles are pretending people forget that person crazy. We have no integrity, knocking people that don't even know offensively, exploiting every exception, using words like semantics, like rhetoric, criminally. Rhetoric with sarcasm, countering, there's no rhetoric is not automatically positive. All things box sings. There is not one thing that is not in demonstration or capable of being in demonstration of where there is increasing identity of value. And as an increasing identity of value relationship to ourselves, as what really is going to cause positive value nature progression accidentals here. Not as the semi-conversation where you're going to care about people's sensibilities and as what makes convictions and pretend, that can't defend that and tell our American history at the same time. What exploited that? What laws were against what everyone could say? Everyone was a fact-treating nature slave. What punishments they had against everyone? sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly. Effectively, they facilitated uses of Harry Beecher Stowe's phrase, Uncle Tom, and her value treatments of being a woman. With that, they facilitated it as a breaching method tool to divide everyone with in other words, from the quality of fact treatment nature needed to understand and to counter and even to understand American history, those organized crime breaching laws that were entrenched here since before our founders. That the surface value and volume of our Constitution gaining is. But while still entrenched with sub rosa value, see, we have our branches of government as identities maintain victim predators. Through science is maintained from off the ground of education on off the ground of education, a method maintaining each perception of correlation nature hurt by what keeps the branches, interbranches, family members, all the family members with all private tied to them, especially the prison cliques like DMV and things like that, exploiting and exploiting others because they don't understand how they're exploiting them. Everyone has time. The time positions of each treatment of identity of the ground as a criminal insidious nature, jobs in relationship to that. Everyone's reliant upon types of experts. That's being exploited originally and still. That's the organized crime method our history is about. It's about how a whole bunch of motivations, natures, needs, and interests were other, but with the overt criminal enterprise. Whole bunch of wrongdoers, whole bunch of predicate acts, motivated natures, sequence shifting natures, identity theft natures, physical delusions wrought, identities of correlation nature, Trinity. See, they make everything fake passion because then they have to offensively keep how they're exploiting this real law. They're keeping the identity, the sensibilities of people relying on types of experts. That's the problem. And when things play out, no one has free speech in these courts. One-way reports. They have criminally foreign influence statutes. They know it. They're also recorded delusions wrought, though. Also recorded reliant upon when they're frustrated, just like the organized crime groups, overt, just like the crazy. Everything is maintained, self-value from on-off campuses and layers. A whole bunch of people associated with whatever they have with the shared. They have a whole bunch of things manifest, concentrated with the shared policing of on-off campuses locations. Like especially with the clubs next to Yale College, Yale University, next to Trinity College, next to CCSU, with Hartford, Connecticut, next to Fox Connecticut News, I meant to say. But these are people that were facilitated the crime acts roles with intermilitary, interbranch, foreign and domestic, same thing here or there, shared police, inter types of all private and DMV. These people are journalisms. All those people are maintained with what's maintaining them lied to by our intelligence community in their nations. Their identities are market positions that are used for a method of exploiting how each modern nation is sickly, distinctly hurt by what forces self-value, how we're grouped, and in ways that is preventing that talked about, and that's preventing us from demonstrating how we're really supposed to be grouped. See, they grouped us sick, so we would not see that and how and why each person is simultaneously a grouped sex value. Each person is simultaneously a grouped species, nature, or volume. This trinity has a value/value nature relationship to itself. This trinity, this correlation agent, is self-generating. But semi-ancient negative value nature progression. This one species that had criminal foreign influence in semi-ancient times, lethal IDs. We wasted Earth's value. That's why we're going to space. That's why it's self-valued. That's why it's self-valued. All that money, even though for way less than that, and for free, everyone would agree to bring landscape reliefs. We should put landscape lotto at least, reliefs from zoning laws, agreements. How are you going to do that? We agreed to have business. How this business we're relying. They don't even have enough businesses. They have the alternatives, in collusion with organized crime. We have the stewards of Social Security, of Medicaid, of each of the types of healthcare, criminally foreign influence, used by organized crime, left exploiting databases, people relying upon other natures of experts. So we have original health. We have healthcare originally still indifferent to and valuing roles with overt criminal enterprises, with private ones still valued. You can't defend that and us at the same time. Especially psychology has to go. Whole bunch of people. So then I never knew Joe DeMoro or Mike Kerr in grammar school. I explained the exception with Joe DeMoro. I don't know if he was in my class for the whole year. I don't remember him from a couple times. And we didn't get along. So, but he's recorded and confessed and demonstrated because then the O'Briens made confessions about their roles with the Congressional Building. These and other people and that are involved with, like, there was a Sharkies guy. I don't know the Sharkies. They have family members also associated with, like, people with I forgot their name. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Professional football players. And there's a Rizzo family and a DePietro K related to this family that has a Phil Cololo also recorded and confessed to involved crimes with the New Britain Superior Court and with forensics clicks that this Phil Cololo and that other people associated with his cousins have federal crimes and identity thefts, fake conversations with me through time, and with Mendez police involved with crimes with Fox Connecticut News and with WFSB, with child offenders of a whole bunch of natures mixed. They're covering their lie progressions because they were spreading federal criminal lies with Joshua Julian and with overt criminal enterprises through time, with overt federal criminals associated with a whole bunch of them with and as three of them that were federal co-defendants of Robert Luskin that are recorded and confessed involved with police forms with various natures of courts like New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts, criminally involved with them leading up to and in a 2006 Connecticut district case. And then since that, with crimes against me too. And then leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context case. There are also people like involved with locations in Hartford, Connecticut, involved with the Scalora family, recorded and confessed involved with that criminally, with police forms, and with people that you want to keep saying mean things about people, so you should just ignore it when they say things. In other words, but then they were trying to pretend evidence is. So there's a Scalora family involved with people on off the locations of a CCSU tied campus on Franklin Avenue in Hartford. I don't know the name of it, but it's all these campuses, intercities. Each campus of each age has a crime method through it. that is keeping, it's exploiting the way identities share a value relationship, now filtered through what exploits its self-value, filtered to and as what values, native quality of fact human nature, can't defend, can't defend fact human natures like that, formal and sustain and and handle someone with sequence true, inherent, active, and progressive correlation nature, intentions, contemplation true, passions, emotions this way. This is where they're for. Everything where they, my father used to say, passions are the parents of illusion. Emotions are the parents of illusion. I don't know where he got that. My father used to read Immanuel Kant a lot. Wrote the Critique of Pure Reason, the Critique of Practical Reason. See, these people everyone didn't have free speech in semi-ancient times. This just reminds. Only natures of it. See, the state scenarios are victims for what made them value being criminal and serious nature. They'll say, oh, you can't sue the government. But they know they're criminally preventing the exceptions from being demonstrated. In other words, they're forced to follow mandated law. They've been acting criminally in cases already. They've had crime acts roles with people associated with them with this. Now, they have fire departments involved with a whole bunch of names associated with Aiello family and a Kerr family and a DeMoro family, with a former mayor Golden, with new mayors, and one of Faenza associated with one, and Cromwell is recorded and confessed with WFSB investigators involved with them criminally. Foreign and domestic military involved with them criminally with their locations of businesses next to them. These are people that were involved criminally with DACA. Their crime acts roles facilitated to it with the deans of colleges and their kids and their kids groups involved, facilitated drug crime roles. Then they're pretending to care about and against marijuana and things like this. They're going to control the qualities of it and things like that because they need it to keep. They have crime methods, uses of drugs, motivations with drug crime roles with the people that are supposed to be countering drug crimes, because they're attaching people, forging names, switching names, faking medical information, pretending things were measured that we never were, even forging, all kinds of natures of formal drug crime roles juxtaposed with ones that are crimes with overt gangs drugs criminally, other natures of criminal uses of them as crime roles with wire crime methods. Crime methods, all of a sudden, your phone will pick up and you'll hear someone else talking, or they'll hear you, and that's exploited years later in backgrounds. They're just keeping all formal evidence. These are policing of stores, a whole bunch of places at once, while these differences are going on. For example, regarding Khashoggi treatments, Jamal Khashoggi treatments, and being sought up in relationship to native, police forms and doctors with badges, with psychology. These are people with crimes, with body dumpings here, spots with Billy Grasso. Whole bunch of people involved. See, a Kerr family recorded and confessed that they have crimes with, and demonstrated that they have crimes with people, with judges, and with overt criminal enterprises, and with people with this Cololo family and DeMoro family involved with their extended family members with identity theft, like a Phil Cololo recorded and confessed with them crimes with New Britain Superior Court with child sex offenders with the leaders of the kids. Further, the police chief, the daughter, and extended family member was associated with Mazzucato Bakery and with Modern Pastry facilitated the crimes. Identity thefts. roles. And with the child offenders, drug collects with that through time, uses of the crime roles with this Colello family. Also, that pretended they, that exploited the sensibilities of these people. And with this Fred Grisey, and with the people associated at the spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, those three spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike before the heart of Hartford. There are state police forms, other natures of police forms associated with, and as who the Colello family said was their relatives in the past. Now they're involved with a whole bunch of identity theft, fake conversations with me, fake locations, natures of relationship to me, database crimes when I was a kid, roles when I was a kid too. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated. They used the they have other natures and motivations and roles and uses of drug crimes because then they make things not told that the mandated law was supposed to make them tell on. See, but these are people that were crimes with a whole bunch of people associated with the former director of the FBI, whole bunch of people associated with a Dow, a Gal. These are fake. Both these parties are sick fakes. They're victim predators, tactically pseudo-educated. All these, so there's also not just so they're also recorded the Kerr family and the Morrow family and people associated with this Colello family with their extended family members involved with these child sex offenders. Further, there are also crime acts roles with all kind of people on and off Stop and Shop. One of them is a manager of one of the Stop and Shops with a brother that's on the sex offender registry. Real or made up, good too, because these were people that are involved further making fake child sex offender maps. These are people crime acts roles with fake news that won't take it down. They stole my identity. They pretend I had a relationship to the doctor as a kid, never were. They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated to me and to my family that they have federal crimes attaching them. They pretend, because they don't want to cooperate. They demonstrated before they pretended that they were federal crime acts roles, sequence shifts, crimes with police preventing counters to their rape. These are little punks with badges and with gavels. These are various natures of women judges with forging, switching names roles with child sex offenders. With forging names, switching names, falsified police reports from various natures of towns for the same arrest that was criminally fake things in the first place. That's why they started off with a promise to appear delivered through someone else to my house. After I'd been on the campus of CCSU. Now these are people who reported and confessed with crimes interstates, criminal uses of the sensibilities and of the database relationships people clicks, like Ray Hernandez, like Mrs. Hicks. I don't know if she's related to Hope Hicks, but through generations, through administrations, there are rules with training of criminal justice through CCSU, various natures departments that were criminally involved with the Obama administration, with the Trade Center, right through with the Trade Center attack, with elections against whoever wins, against who while they're going up, they're maintaining everyone forced to self-value criminal ceaseless nature of integrity of fact-cheating nature of sequence shifts. See, that's one thing they all communicated commonly. They have database crime rules, sequence shift crime rules, evidence reception where they're acting tied to this. So other people are pretending to film things. That's what they do. They pretend people having differences that are natural between kids consciously to maintain fake correlation nature. They're maintaining everyone's self-valuing fake sides of correlation nature. Quality of fact-cheating nature that you can't defend. The sequence shift roles. That's what all the styles of opinion natures are being maintained, forged as. Then that's maintained for self-value. That's exploited. We have further active now with CCSU, Trinity College, Wesleyan. This is also used. They used criminal uses. I didn't even see I didn't even need to know about. I need to know about them, but I mean, the most important thing that you have to know about history is the value of what James Madison did with his plan before George Washington, then uses of George Washington as our first president, and then uses of his Marbury versus Madison as an identity of the ground, connection to our identity of value that has never been liberated with our American history, reliant upon that theater only for shared value, because then no one could speak about what Marbury versus Madison is really about through that theater. We have shared policing, a whole bunch of nations, Puerto Rico, the territory of Puerto Rico, Mexico, Canada, Italy, Australia, New Zealand. These are people involved that were facilitated the crime acts rules that are here through shared policing of campuses, maintained criminally foreign influence, but not through one. Specifically as a method that maintains everyone blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, natures, on other things and on others. And that's self-value. That's the problem with the criminal justice rackets. Now see what they're preventing mandated law to demonstrate this recording by forging names and switching names, and having done that, various natures of courts are involved criminally with these campuses, with their police forms, with their lie progressions that maintain that. They don't have the integrity to be influencing people to communicate with others. These are behavior to crime rules. Whereas that's why they have media briefed. Because behavior, all these issues are juxtaposed with undercover positions that you can't defend. And us at the same time. That's just your mind. Control your mind. So we have intercities, sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly. This is exploiting this distinct and non-distinct identity of values, identity of relationship to itself, distinctly and non-distinctly. It's the value of the positive, the period, and the comma. Facebook was used for election crimes by the FBI, for example, by the CIA, for example, by the media already themselves involved with database crimes, misprision criminality, pseudoscience criminally pretending they don't realize they're speaking through others, and that's criminally having been and being exploited. Criminally, highly criminally. So we need the news followed. The map will follow. So those houses on Church Street in Old Weathersfield are involved with a whole bunch of natures of policing of campuses, involved with Washington, D.C., Trade Center, crime acts, families. Can't attack, they're victims, though. They're victim predators because a whole bunch of other nations at the same time. But we don't have integrity to counter this all at once. So we have to counter how it hurts us similarly here and there, simultaneously. It's exploiting how Saudi Arabia is forced to be grouped with other nations, the same way we are, sickly, distinctly, tactically ulterior here and there, non-distinctly ulterior from how we're supposed to be grouped by nature itself. And its relationship to our fact-cheaping nature, why we really are fact-cheaping nature. Yallah. So we have MPO Floyd, and we have Justin Klavinskis, and we have other foreign and domestic military families recorded and confessed in Navy, recorded in foreign and Mexican Navy. Crime acts rules with forensics clicks through time. Criminal use and crime rules with that recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by courts involved with a Kerr family and DeMoore family. They also recorded criminally at the same time, pretending to be but be for them. So they're in sequence shifting with them through time. And this is where the Dillon family recorded and confessed crimes further with his kids and with interbranch family members and foreign and domestic family members involved further with the principal child defenders campus. Real or made up, especially made up because there were real more child defenders with that. And with New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Superior Court, other Hartford probate courts, other natures of court. These are people involved with elderly offenders at the same time. The people further involved with child offenders. Locations on and off Town Line Drive are also recorded and further and confessed and demonstrated involved uses of criminality where they have the then businesses succeed or don't, and they benefit by groupings being used personally criminally. Whole bunch of people with the Dillon family. There's a Sean Dillon, a Kevin Dillon, and Anna Dillon involved with the new and past neighbors involved with this criminally with Trinity College, with the Joshua Stryker involved crimes with this Cololo family and with database crimes, wire crime rolls with drug crimes, formal and other, with people associated with town, with a whole bunch of houses on and off Two-Road Highway, on and off where it runs into Hangdog Lane, and where it runs into the Burnham Turnpike before the heart of Hartford. Those spots at the end of the Burnham Turnpike are with the interbranch family members and military and foreign through time of the identity theft crime acts against me. Uses of those locations is so insidiously. You can't complain about it because you don't even know them. If you complain, it makes it look like you had a conversation with these people. It makes you look like you know them. That's what they need because they already attached everyone to fake locations and databases. These are people interstate sick with the kids. Getting away with it because how they're facilitated, maintain that per their roles with Washington, D.C. programs, with these courts real sick, especially with psychology. Programs about how they're going to treat when things happen, and then they have to they have to try to be justice. They can't be justice. So we need the fake news fixed. We need the election crime acts and methods rules fixed. We need them to pretend to be doing against things that are recorded simultaneously, preventing demonstration of their crime acts rules from being countered. Or make it personal. So there's a serial killer. Real, even if he's made up, he's recorded federal crimes with child sex offenders, medical offenders clicks, EMS clicks involved with the location of his bodies through time criminally. Database crime rules and with confessions, identity theft crimes with people with DACA clicks and stuff when I was a kid. Criminal uses of time, you're going to walk from this database relationship to this one. These schools are ill. We have further recorded and confessed involved with the people with forensics crimes, with treatments of the past, whereas now we have a whole bunch of nations shared policing of spots like job sites, unions, money, things like that, hundreds of market positions, war, contrast, this is threat. They don't have time but to counter this, not by accident. What exploits this? I forgot what my other part was going to be. This is getting long, so. Boxing is strong. Give us rest. Tough best. All the gyms are also criminally used by the live progressions from each of the identities of branches, identity of fact, human nature, value. Live progressions. Maintained, used. Only capable of being that. So WFSB has further rackets, bad rules with why they're standing there all the time with West Farmers Mall. There are various natures of judges recorded in standing, various natures of police form, foreign and standing, various natures of campuses of different natures, and of educational campuses of each age, criminally involved, even private ones, criminally involved with them. Nuns schools and stuff like that, criminally involved. Let's go! Get them out of there. WFSB, fix the fake news. Get your violence down. All turn around. These are also behavior crime rules with the on-line policing tied to their criminal uses of the courts, criminally involved with the areas and with our names. All turn around. It only feels like games. So they have the body dumping spot and the spots narratives with the fake news with WFSB, with the Fienza family, recorded and confessed crimes through time with the Dillon family, with them, and with the Kerr family, and the Jensen family, and the DeMoro family, and a whole bunch of other people recorded and confessed and demonstrated and involved further with the criminals like Phil Colo and a Christine recorded, and a John Lyon recorded, and others recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved further with child sex offenders, town offices, criminal uses of the community center and town offices and election spots through time, religious spots through time. I just remind time.